Very good evening. Consumers are facing a bleak winter of higher fuel costs after Scottish Power announced it's increasing gas prices by 19%, electricity bills by 10%. And that means an average customer, of which there are nearly 2.5 million, will have to pay around an extra £175 a year. All the other big energy companies are expected to follow suit, and tonight there are warnings that that could put 500,000 people into fuel poverty. Here's Sky's Ty Enright.
So far it's been a hot summer, but this winter energy firms are turning up the heat. Scottish Power is the first of the big suppliers to reveal just how much its customer prices will rise. The hike will see domestic gas bills rocketing by an average of 19% from the 1st of August. Electricity bills will increase by 10%. Scottish Power says it will affect 2.4 million households.
History tends to show that a lot of companies will follow in the slipstream of the first one to raise their prices, so we shouldn't be surprised to see 2, 3, 4 of the others not everyone will necessarily do it. And the scale now is set. So we will be expecting to see prices of a magnitude that we weren't expecting before this announcement.
The political crisis in many parts of the Middle East has added an average of 30% to the costs for energy firms, supplying customers caught up in an economic crisis. Scottish Power's explanation: wholesale prices for gas and electricity have increased significantly since the end of last year, and continuing unrest in global energy markets means future prices are volatile. Scottish Power says it understands times are difficult for many people, and it's done what it can to absorb these additional costs for as long as possible to minimise the impact on customers. The Bank of England has already warned households to prepare for average energy price rises of 15% this year. That's part of the reason it expects inflation to hit 5%.
Even if inflation does rise very sharply over the course of the next few months as a consequence of rising energy costs, as these one-off rises drop out of the calculations, so we'll see a sharp decline back in the inflation rate in 12 months' time.
The energy regulator has already said it doesn't think there's enough competition in the market. The big firms were given until the start of this month to say how they'll change their ways to keep prices as low as possible. If they don't go far enough, a full competition investigation could be launched, and that's something the suppliers don't want to happen.
Ty joins me now from our central London studios. Evening, Ty. What do you reckon? A surprise this, and just perhaps the first of many?
Yeah, I think we can expect the others to follow suit. And yes, there was surprise that it was as high as this. And of course, it sets the bar that bit higher for the others to follow. And of course, it adds to the woes of consumers who are already grappling with high inflation and low wage growth. The big question is, though, is it fair? Do the prices really have to go up as much as this? And that, of course, is difficult for us to say on the outside of energy firms, because they keep their books to themselves. And that's one of the things that the energy regulator, Ofgem, says should change. It wants more transparency in how the energy firms set their prices. Back in March, it launched a pretty blistering attack on the sector, saying that it was failing to play it straight and stifling competition, and it made a number of recommendations as to how they could change their ways. They've been given a chance to make their own recommendations. The gauntlet's been thrown down to them to encourage competition in the market. They had until earlier this week to give their responses to Ofgem. Ofgem is looking at them now and will give their own response next month. If they're not good enough, though, as we said, a full competition investigation could take place, and that could really shake things up. Jeremy?
Thanks very much, Ty.